Hey guys, welcome to another tutorial video. On this video we'll be learning how to make an underburst corset. Yes, this tutorial is beginner friendly. If you know you don't know how to make an underburst corset, you're a beginner tailor, this tutorial is for you. So the measurements you need are your half cut, that's your half length measurements, your underburst, your waist, and the length of your underburst corset. Right, I just sketched a little drawing of what we are going to be drafting. So in this drafting process, these are the measurements that we need. Okay, so the first thing you have to do is to cut the front part of your underburst measurement of your underburst corset. Guys, please, if you've not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please click on the subscription button. Guys, let's get to 1,000, please. So guys, the underburst measurement is 13. Okay, but I marked 13, but I left 1 inch on top. During the video I'll tell you the reason why I left 1 inch on top. So I'm just marking my vertical measurements. Right, I marked my underburst, which is 13. I left 1 inch on top. I marked my half length 15, and I marked the full length of the underburst corset, that's 20. I added 1 inch seam allowance. Okay, so I'm just going to rule out my measurements and then name my measurements. I'm going to name the lines, sorry. Okay, so please do so, mark out your lines and then label your lines so that you won't get confused. So the first line is your underburst line, the second line is your half cut or waist line, the third line is the full length, the length of your corset, and the last line is the allowance. Right, so now the first measurement you're going to add at your center front is your nipple to nipple measurement. So I'm working with 8 divided by 2, that's 4. So I'm going to just mark 4 inches from the center front and then draw a straight line down like so. So when you're done, the next thing you're going to do is just to mark out 1 inch on both sides. I wanted to mark half an inch, but I saw that it was going to be very little, so I marked out 1 inch on both sides for the dart leg. Right, mark 1 inch on both sides and then just draw a straight line down. Okay, this is for the dart leg of your underburst corset. And remember, this is the simplest form of making an underburst corset. It is beginner friendly. So when you draw your straight line, this is your dart leg. Right, so we're going to be cutting this out. Do you get? We're going to be cutting this out. Now you're going to impute your measurements. So the waist measurements we're working with is I think 30. So for that upper part, I raised it up. It's just a style line. It depends on you, right? You know, most underburst corsets, the center front is higher a little bit. So that's just what I did. That's why I left 1 inch allowance. Okay, so when you get your measurements, your waist circumference divided by 4, you mark it out. You mark the same thing down to the length of the corset. Then you add back the 2 inches that you removed for your dart legs. Do you get? So you mark your waist measurement divided by 4. Then you add back the 2 inches dart leg. Then at the underburst line on top, just create a curve. This is just a style line. You can just choose to maintain your underburst line. Okay, then you label your measurements, your center front and your side front. Guys, hope you understand these measurements. Hope you understand it. So this is just the center front of your underburst corset. You leave 1 inch on top, mark your underburst line, mark your half length line, mark the full length of your corset, and then you create your style line at the center front. Mark your nipple to nipple measurements, 4 inches. That's 8 divided by 4. Mark it out. Then create your dart legs, 1 inch on both sides. Draw it down. Then you mark out your normal measurements divided by 4. You add back your 2 inches dart leg. Well, I didn't add allowance because this underburst measurement is meant to be tight, the corset. So we're going to use the pattern for the front to draft out the back. Okay, so I'm going to start from the main underburst line because the back part, I don't want it to have any design. I just want it to just be straight. Okay, so I'm just going to just trace out the back parts from the front part. As you can see, I placed the front on top of the back. I marked out the underburst line and then I just drew it down. So now to get the dart leg of the back, you can still decide to use your nipple to nipple line, right, to get your 4 inches. So but I just placed my center front on top and I just marked it. Okay, so you can do the same thing, or you use your nipple to nipple, it's just the same thing. All right, so now we're going to be adding loops for this back of the underbust corset. So I marked 1.5 inch from the center back, right, from the center back. I marked 1.5 inch straight, like so. We're going to be cutting that out because we're going to be using loop. Now what is remaining is 6 inches. I divided it by 2 and I drew a straight line. That is going to be where I'm going to fix my dart leg. Okay, so that's the center back one and side back. So I'm going to remove this part. Why? Because we're going to be using a loop for this corset. Okay, and you know the back is meant to be open. Do you understand? So guys, that's just how to get your back part. Just draft out the sides from your center panel, and then you mark out 1.5 inch at the center back for the loop that you're going to cut out, and then you divide the remaining pattern into 2 and you're good to go. So now I was trying to create a style line for the back part. In case you want a style line, you want the back part to be lower, it all depends on you. Okay, but for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm just going to let it to be just simple straight so that we all understand it. Okay, so guys, please, if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section and I'll try my best to explain further to you. Okay, so I'm going to cut out this loop. We don't need it at all. Okay, do you get? So I'm going to open up the center back, like so. This is where our dart leg is going to be. Hope you understand. Remember, this our pattern is supposed to be 2. We're going to cut 2 of it. Okay, so this is our front pattern and this is our back pattern. So now we'll be cutting it on our fabric. So I've cut it on our fabric. I used 1/2 inch allowance to cut it on the fabric. That 1/2 inch allowance is the sewing allowance. Remember, I didn't add allowance to this underbust corset because it's meant to be tight. It's meant to be tight on you. Okay, so now we'll be working on the front part first. We'll be working on the front part. So you open up your pattern like so. Just arrange your pattern. You open up the front part of your pattern like so. Can you see? You see the reason why you need to label your pattern so you won't get confused. Now you sew the dart legs together. You join the dart legs together. You sew them with 1/2 inch. Can you see? You sew it with 1/2 inch and then you open it up. Okay, now we're going to be fixing boning. I'm going to show you how to use your regiment boning. This is called a regiment boning. It's flexible. Okay, so now you can also use your cloth stay for the main fabric just to make it thick. You get? You use your cloth stay for the main fabric, or you use your paper stay. This cloth stay has 2 sides, the rough side and the smooth side. Okay, so you iron the rough side on the material. This is the paper stay. You can also use it for your lining. Okay, this is just to make your material firm. It's not a must. Okay, so I'm done joining the sides of my lining and the main fabric, and I've opened it up. Can you see? I ironed it and opened it up. Please always make use of your iron. Now this is a regiment boning. Can you see? It's elastic. They call it elastic boning, any one you like. Now you get the center front of your material and then you notch the top and you notch the bottom. Why are you notching it? Because we want to fix our boning. Now you get your masking tape and close the edge of your boning like so, and do the same thing on the bottom part. Now mind you, when you're fixing your boning, you have to come down by 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch sewing allowance, because that's what you use to join the top and join the bottom. So you have to come down by 1/2 inch for the top part and go up by 1/2 inch for the bottom part. Okay, so you won't be sewing on top of the boning. So since we've gotten the length of our boning, place it like so. This is how our boning is going to be on our fabric. Okay, so you have to put your boning at the middle and the 2 sides of your work, of your material. So this is how. And then regiment boning at the edges. Can you see? The edges are sewable. You can sew on the edges of your regiment boning. So we're going to sew on the edges of our regiment boning, the middle and then the 2 sides. And then I'll come back and show you how it's going to look when you're done. So when you're done, this is how it's going to look. I didn't fix on the other part because I assume that you will already understand what I'm trying to say. Okay, So this is our boning. This is another boning. This regiment boning is fatter than the one that I used, so you can decide whether you want the slimmer one or the fatter one. Now you can decide to also fix your boning also on your lining. It depends on your preference. Okay, now I want to create a style line for this underburst corset. I'm going to get my bias, and then I'm going to sew on top so that it will look like this. This is just for beauty and also to cover the stitches of our boning. Now you open up your bias like so, and then you stitch straight down beside the first line. Okay, you stitch it straight down. Okay, so when you fix your bias straight down, the next thing you're going to do is to close it up. Can you see I've stitched it straight down, and the next thing you're going to do is to close up the line. Can you see how close it is to the first line? Then you close it up like so, and you stitch it down. This is just to create the style line for our underburst corset. Okay, so since we are done with that, this is the front part, this is our lining. We will have to join our lining to our material, but before that there's something I want us to do. I want us to make this outfit to be very neat inside. I want to teach you how to make inseam stitches that's very neat, that the inner part of your stitch of your outfit will be very neat. So you need to watch this part and pay attention. So I kept the front parts separately. I want to work on the back part. So what I'm just going to do is to join the back pieces together, join the main fabric and the lining. I'll just join them together. So when I'm done, this is how it looks. Please remember to always iron your work. Okay, open up the stitches and iron it. Yes, I didn't iron mine, but you must iron yours. Okay, so NEPA did me too, but that one's by the side. Just iron, open up your stitches and iron. Okay, so now this is the front part. What we're going to do, we're going to join the sides. So you join the sides of the main fabric together. Can you see? You join the sides, and then you do the same thing for the lining. So you join the sides of the main fabric together. Can you see what I'm doing in the video? And then when you join the sides, you join that of the lining together. When you are done, this is how it will look, just like a straight outfit. Can you see? So this is how it's going to look. Now the next thing we're going to do, we're going to create our loops. Okay, we're going to create our loops. Now you have to determine how you want your loops to be, the distance from one loop to the other loop. Okay, so before you're going to join the neck part, you're going to create your loop first of all. So now you will come down by 1/2 inch on the top, you come down by 1/2 inch, and then you fix your first measurement for your loop. So for this loop, I'm making it 1 inches apart from each other. You can decide to make yours 1.5. It all depends on you and what you want. So you do the same thing for the two sides of your outfit. Okay guys, we're almost done. So we do the same thing for the two sides, and remember to come down by 1/2 inch. Why are you coming down? Because of joining the lining to the main fabric. Okay, so making a loop, just get your bias or any strip material that you have and fold it into two like so, and then you get your loop rope like loop, and then you fold it like so. This is just how to create a loop. Now when you want to sew your loop to your material, sew it inward, not outward. Can you see how I placed it on the material? You have to sew it inside in the form that your loop is facing your material. Can you see how I did it? This is how you're going to sew your loop. So I fixed my loop, and the next thing now to do is to join the top part and to join the sides. Okay, so I'm going to turn the material with the lining. That's just it. So I'm going to turn it with the lining and then come back to show you how it's supposed to look. So guys, when we're done turning it, this is how it's going to look. Very pretty, very lovely. This is the back part. Okay, I've turned the up part and the back part. I've joined it. Now I'm going to flip it over. Now the reason why I joined the main fabric together before join the lining together is just to give it a neat finishing and to make it to be in one form, just one piece. Okay, you don't need to start joining the sides separately. You see how the inner part looks neat? Yes, I purposely used another lining when you're making yours, use the same lining. So you just fold it in, and then your underbust corset is ready and good to go. So guys, we're almost coming to the end of our tutorial video, and I hope this tutorial has been helpful to you. And please, if this tutorial was helpful to you, please like, share, comment, and most importantly guys, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank you guys for watching. See you on my next tutorial, and I hope this video was very helpful to you. So this is our underbust corset. You can wear this with your gown, your trouser, your shirt, anything. You can just style it any way you want and you're good to go. Thank you guys for watching. See you on my next tutorial. Bye.